Hi, Kate. I'm going to do your 30-minute psychic wisdom service now. So, you've got some really good questions here. So, you're having a hard time articulating the question, but you feel that there's a barrier around you, blocking your creative energy, which I'm seeking so much and which is also important. Something feels like you're losing contact, can't get through, and are losing touch with your dreams, which were always very significant. And even as if you were receiving messages, you just know that your abilities are so much more than you currently possess. So we're gonna even explore too your love relationship and then life purpose. Okay, I'm going to relax and then we'll see what Spirit has to share, okay? Okay. I see an image of a large cat, like a tiger, and then an image of a black dragon. Is a lightning strike, so I see tiger, lightning strike, I see black dragon. The energy is really almost intolerable. I don't know how to describe the way it feels, but it feels like I am a bug inside of a glass jar. And I'm trying to get out. I can see the other side of the glass, but yet there's something blocking me. They ask if I know what is blocking you. I say I'm not certain, but it has something to do with an illusion. There's a perceptive issue here. If you're a bug trapped inside a glass jar, you will continue to walk into the glass and wonder why can you not get out. Looking at every inch of the glass to find a way out, it feels like you should be free to walk as you please, but yet there is something blocking the way. How does a bug get out of a glass jar? How far is the illusion of glass if there truly is glass there? I'm doing several things. One is I'm in a glass jar, knocking on the glass, exploring what this means. The other is I'm examining the way the first images made me feel. There is something else here. There's a snake hissing. There is an image of something crashing, hitting the ground, a rumbling shake, an earthquake, and dust going seismically pushing in all directions simultaneously, instantaneously. It is destructive. It is making an impact. It is pushing the dust in every direction. It is creating a ripple of change, seismic change. But yet, not so much really has changed. It's just made a dent in the ground, and now once the dust settles, there's just a rock, a dent, and now we're really just still sort of a barren landscape. They show me two scenes. They show me again what is like a meteor hitting the ground, creating a massive earthquake type of sound, a rumble. It kicks up lots of dust. The dust is just one of, like, kind of, I don't know, it's just, it ripples across on all directions simultaneously. Like you throw a pebble in the pond, what happens? You get the rings that go outward, right? So they show me this. What is the impact of this in a barren landscape where nobody lives and nobody knows that it even happened? But there's something to this, because this creates an element of movement, an element of changing the landscape, right? But they're showing me another scene where let's just take away the destructive element of this rock hitting the ground, and instead we're going to plant seeds. And now the space is no longer barren. It is starting to grow green plant life, and animals are starting to move into this, what is like a growing rainforest. And even water now is inspired to fall here. Clouds are inspired to collect here and share rainfall. Things are growing, things are changing, things are shifting. Even human beings living here, growing, learning the land, learning the trees and the plants and the animals. What makes a larger dent? Is it creation? Or is it a comet hitting the ground? What is it? How can you plant seeds to start creating new things in your life? You have to actually plant the seeds by doing things. But that is just a tiny portion of the message, because there's quite a message here for you. Because that first scene is I'm still experiencing that energy here in my head. It's not enjoyable at all. It's bothersome. It feels like electricity, and it kind of has a painful sensation to it. And it makes me kind of shaky. It makes me feel uncomfortable. It makes me feel like I really need an answer to something that I cannot make sense of. They're saying, just be patient. Is this wisdom not good enough for you, Abby? Is this wisdom about growing creative seeds, inspiring clouds and rain and animals? Is this not a good message? They're saying there's something more to this message, something hidden in the midst of all of this. I'm watching this snake in motion now. The snake makes movements across the barren landscape, and it leaves its prints in this sort of sandy, it's not sand, it's not a desert, but it's barren, all right, and the ground is really hard. It's not like you could pick up sand and then let it fall, right? This ground is hard. It's just lots of patted down sand or dirt that just dried entirely. But there's still enough that when the snake moves across, it can still make an imprint in the sand. This sort of light dusting of sand everywhere. It's just flaky dirt or whatever. The snake moves very, very quickly. The snake moves towards where this rock made this impact. The snake finds it quite pleasing how there is shade here where the rock hit, just under the spherical part here. There's shade, and the snake goes right in there. The snake feels very at home here and is enjoying the way this feels. The snake feels happy. It feels protected by the shadow. It feels it has found a worthy home. It is even cooler in the shade here. There's something correct about this space. There's a sound of a giant walking. The ground is shaking under his footsteps. There's a hand that pulls the side of curtains and looking out a window. There is an image of all of the scenes. We just put our hands in the middle and move them to the side, like we're going to walk through a doorway. This scene with the hand that moves the curtain to the side, the curtain is white and it's sheer, like I can see through it. And so I move it to the side, and then I lift up the window. And when I lift it up, there's this howling breeze that just comes blast me in the face, and it's cold. Like, I'm surprised how cold it is. It's like really bitter winter cold. Very terrible cold hitting my face. It is extremely bothersome. Why would you open this window? What was the inspiration of opening this window? It was warm in here before, and now it's freezing. But they're saying, now you are feeling alive because this cold wind is blasting into your face and inspiring you to feel something. It's too warm and it's too cozy in here. You have to shake up the bag of tricks and do it totally differently. Even just shake up the bag of tricks and then just say, throw them in the trash. I say, I have no bag of tricks. I'm going to start a whole new scenario, a whole new scene, something entirely new, something I've never done or seen or experienced before. They're really talking about creating some even vulnerability, because it's just what this room feels like is if you were stuck inside a house that was the same temperature all the time and never could go outside, how would you know the summer heat or the winter cold? How would you know change or fluctuation or differences? There's something really important in getting that blast of cold air in your face and waking up and letting it just wake you up. You really need this. You need something in life that creates a massive blast of unexpectedly cold air that's like, oh my God, that's freezing. Because things are just way too warm and cushy. You have to change things to experience change. Again, the giant is stepping. It's a very robust man. He kind of has a caveman type of appearance, and he's 30 feet tall, and he's stout, and he's wearing some sandals. And every step he takes, it's boom, boom, boom. You can hear him coming. He's got a club. He makes his presence known. Thing is he doesn't know how loud he is when he steps. Only we would know, because we are the small ones that can hear the sound of his real imprint in the ground. The sound of his steps are loud to us, but they're not so loud to him. What is every day normal to him? To just go for a walk. Whereas for us who are so small in comparison, he's much louder in movement than he is aware of himself. He is not violent at all. I'm not sure what the use of the club is for, but he has not a violent... I'm not experiencing anything violent about his persona. Maybe it's for playing baseball. There's something disappointing about him, though. I'm trying to examine what it is exactly. It just feels like he's aimless. I'm wanting to know what his goal is. What is he trying to accomplish? He's got a club, and he kind of does this with it, like he's going to use it to whip somebody with it, right? But I'm telling you, he does not have a violent bone in his body. So what's the point? Why you have this club? Even he doesn't seem to really know why he has this club. So what do you know? I'm trying to understand what he understands about himself, even. He understands that he is walking in this direction. He comes to very tall pine trees, but he is taller still than the pine trees, but only by a little bit. He's trying to sneak through, but they're so close together. All these pine trees are so close together. How is he going to sneak through them? He has to. How is he going to get through these pine trees? He's actually sucking it in and then going sideways and trying to go through this like pine trees. Like, you're too big. He's going to crush them. He's just going to break them. He has that good of a heart that he doesn't even want to hurt the pine trees. I'm just watching him still trying to ease through the pine trees. It's really funny to watch. And just give me a moment here. Okay, I'm back. There was a lot of sounds out there and it was distracting me. So, I'm returning to this scene with him. They're showing me this forest is expansive and it goes on and on and on for miles and miles and miles and miles. And it sort of feels like a crazy military boot camp. How is he going to squeeze through without damaging a single tree for miles and miles and miles? Even though he's really tall, really big, right? It's still a long ways for him, and he's just too big to fit through. He's too big to squeeze through. So what is he going to do? He doesn't want to hurt the trees. Now we have a real problem. He either A, has to accept that he will have to hurt the trees in order to get through this forest, or he will have to come up with a solution in order to get around it, perhaps, or jump over it, which is, he would have to build a plane or something. The forest goes on for a long ways. So what will he do? If he does not want to hurt the trees, what is his solution to this? They're showing me he has only one choice, and it is to go through the forest. There's no way around it, and there's no way to fly over it. He is only allowed one choice, one way to get through it, and he is not able to suck it in order to get through and turn sideways. They're saying sometimes in life you have to accept that breaking the trees does happen, even if you have a beautiful, loving heart and you don't want to break anything, you don't want to hurt anything. Sometimes it's only natural, and then therefore it was meant to be. Some things in life are meant to be, and sometimes part of it being meant to be is it can break. It can feel like things have to break a little bit. And they're saying not break a little bit, break a lot, because he is going to have to break a lot of trees in order to get through this long, massive forest. He will have to come to accept that this is his destiny. He is here at the edge of the forest. He will have to break these trees. There's no other way. It is his divine destiny. He has to break the trees. So how long will he wait and contemplate this? How long will it take before his heart chooses to accept the reality? That is for him to decide. That is for him to decide. And that's okay. They're showing me some scenes about nature. Like, we don't know why a bird chooses to nest in this tree, or why the tomatoes grew great this year and not in the last year. There's something about the course of life that everything happens when it is meant to happen. Sort of like cicadas, we don't know why they 7 years later they decide to be born, or 4 years later. Like, it's one of those anomalies, and he will be forced to eventually accept that he must break the trees. If it takes 50 years, if it takes 50 lifetimes, his soul has to accept this. But they're also saying your soul too will have to accept this type of conundrum as well. They also say everybody's soul will always have to one day accept the conundrum of standing at the edge of the forest which could be a reflection of anything. Reflection, though, of breaking something that is like breaking a heart. Breaking something you don't want to break because you love that something. You're kind enough that you don't want to break their heart, even if you were meant to, even if there's no other way. They keep showing me eggs cracking. You can't, there's a saying about this. You can't have eggs unless you can't have scrambled eggs unless you break a few eggs, or something like that. You got to break some eggs every now and then. If you want to have scrambled eggs, you got to break some eggs. You know what I mean? You can't enjoy breakfast unless you break some eggs. There's something about this. They show me they show me 2 eggs being broken, and then the yolks and everything going onto a very hot frying pan, and you can hear the eggs are cooking. The eggs are cooking and becoming perfected through this experience. They aren't experiencing pain. They're eggs. They're meant for this moment. They are meant for this moment. The eggs were meant to be cracked and cooked and then consumed by you. Do we think about the baby chickens, or do we just think about eating breakfast? That's what they say. They are really wanting you to make a roar and a thunder and a smack and a crash to really own your inner power, because there's something about when you are not stepping up to the plate and owning your inner power, now you're going to start feeling honed down or tied down, or you're going to feel like life is creating the issues, when you really just need to step up and just, they show me what is a human being with that is just sort of, I don't know, it just sort of lost their inner power. I mean, it's almost like you go through the motions of life and it's just been kind of consistent or normal, but you have to eventually make a change, because you can't grow unless change happens, and none of us want change. We want things to just remain, consistent, right? But somehow when we get really cozy in a cycle, we start to, they show me what are like odd, I don't know, like a elastic sack. It sort of grows and then it gets tighter and tighter and tighter. It's sort of like if you're not going to stretch, you're going to get stiffer and stiffer and stiffer, and now your back's going to ache and your muscles are going to ache and yada yada yada. So when you don't keep making changes, this sack is going to get tighter and tighter and tighter, and then kind of pull you down like this, and then eventually you're going to have to say, I'm sick of this, and then you're going to have to break the sack and come on out of there, and then start being yourself in a very loud way. And almost like this would do you a lot of awesome good, but go out in the middle of nowhere and just scream your guts out. Like just scream your guts out, because some part of you just feels like it needs to get some really loud noises out, like ah, until you can't take it anymore. Scream and scream and scream until you're completely and utterly exhausted. Now tomorrow do it again, and then do it again, and then start you there's something like you got to do some punching or some activity to really just, I don't know, it's sort of like the rumbly shatterly earthquake. Start doing the meteorite thing with the blast and the smack to the ground, and start rumbling and shaking, and then breaking up the structure of normal. You got to break up the normal structure so that way you can start getting rid of that yucky feeling in the head that just, it's like super, I get it. I totally get what you're saying, because I can feel that from the get-go. It's like, oh my gosh, what is this? This is what they're saying about this so far. So let's see what else they have to say. They show me you with one foot on the scene with the rock, and one foot on the scene with all the creative seeds growing. They're saying it was both. Both was the best choice. You need the impact, and then you need the creative seeds too. And they're showing you one half of you on this side and one half of you on this side. It is what helps you to define who and what you are, to grow into your purpose, to be yourself. They're really asking you to ask yourself, who am I? And really start to discover who you are. Not just, there's something deep about this. There's many different angles they're talking about when they say discover who you are. How many different ways can you discover who you are? Well, I like to work out, and I like yogurt, and I like scrambled eggs for breakfast. There's something deeper than this. What makes you vulnerable? What makes you emotional? What makes you so freaking pissed off? What would inspire you to go to the North Pole just to see what was there for an entire week and just say you did it? Do something completely random, but to discover yourself in the process. But they're really saying somewhere that is, oh, I never know if it's like it's Iceland or is it Greenland, but it's sort of like one of those places that's really dynamic in what the terrain offers. And and like there's hot springs and ocean, and it's just different dynamics to what the scene offers, and something about it would really bring out your spiritual side as well. And they're really encouraging you to go and find yourself. Find yourself by interacting with different landscapes, experiencing different people even. This really is taking place. It has a huge loud like foghorn noise. It's associated with it is time for you to go find yourself. It's literally like the 18-year-old says, okay, mom and dad, I'm going to go off on my own now. What are they going to do? Now they got to figure out how to pay for their own apartment and go get through school, or however maybe they just want to learn a trade, or maybe they have saved a bunch of money and they just want to travel across Europe. There's something about that kind of image of when you graduate from high school, like you really have not discovered yourself, not even close. And even me as a 33-year-old, I still have not discovered myself, but I am discovering myself each and every day by continuing to just keep being, keep following my heart, keep sharing, keep learning, keep growing, keep interacting with others. It's important. But it just feels like you're at a really important moment, a really important time where it's sort of like you've been hanging on to something for too long, and now what you've been hanging on to is starting to create the yucky feeling that you don't know why it's there, but the reality is it's time for you to open the door, go outside, and then never come back. Just seriously go on like a year-long trip and find yourself. That's the best way I can describe this. It's almost the coolest message I could tell anybody. What would I do if somebody told me that what you need to do is go find yourself? Be like, okay, if I could go find myself, what would I do next? If that was the most important thing I did my entire life, that's pretty important. I think everybody needs to go find themselves for a year in their life. But how do we do it, right? It requires creativity. It requires inspiration, and it is exciting. If there's one thing you will discover, it is the most unpredictable, most exciting. It could be vulnerable at times, but you're going to go to bed every night really proud of yourself. And you're going to know that this was something you should have done all along. And they're kind of, there's an image of, they don't say don't take anything with you even. Just don't even take clothes or clean underwear. Just take yourself and see what happened. See what happened. Can you imagine going to an airport and I have no luggage at all? I'm just myself. This outfit, this is me for the next year. They're saying that is how you collect yourself. When you collect belongings, you are collecting parts of yourself in material objects. When you travel in order to find yourself, if you go with nothing at all and just take yourself, now you are discovering yourself through the things that you like in other places you've never seen before. You can create your luggage. And then when you return, you have 2 suitcases full of all kinds of extraordinary reflections of you, because you went on a self-discovery journey. They're talking about your divine purpose. Your life purpose is this. That's all they're saying about your life purpose right now. Trying to be the giant that's walking through the forest. But I cannot be that giant. And I cannot walk through the forest for the giant. Only the giant can choose to walk through the forest when the giant is ready. So when is the giant going to be ready to break some trees, to crack some eggs, and to make some breakfast? Is what they're saying. It's a pretty cool message. They're showing me a holy light and the sound of an angel's voice singing into the heavens. The holy light is white and has some yellow radiating energy with it. It doesn't even look like the outline of an angel, more so it just is kind of a mirage of light that is sort of white and blended into yellow and a black background. And it makes sounds. And it's so loving and pure. And I could bask in this sunlight, in this illumination. Oh my gosh, I could stay here. It's that beautiful, and it's that worthy of recognition. And they say that is a reflection of you. You are that worthy of recognition. You are that beautiful. I'm exploring what the feel of the color, the radiant light, it's almost like water. And so when I move my fingers through it, it kind of moves and it has a feel kind of like water to it. And it's peaceful. And it delights in being interacted with. And when it's interacted with in a way that, for instance, I am mesmerized by this, so mesmerized, I'm adoring it, I'm revering it, and I'm exploring it. It giggles and it feels so much joy, and it feels like, yes, somebody sees me. Somebody really, really cares about me. Really cares about me in a way that is meaningful, genuine, revered, sacred. You are special. You are a gift. Let your radiance shine through all of the shadow. That is all they're allowing me to share with you. So, Kate, I'll be curious to see what this means to you. It's a really cool message. I'm wishing you all the best. Definitely. And if you go on the super journey, I would love to know how that goes for you. No suitcases. You get the suitcases when you're ready to come back, and you just, all of the you parts that you discover, you bring. It's really cool. Special. All right. Well, thank you for that. And for those of you watching, if you're interested in psychic wisdom or spiritual healing with me, please visit my website today at abbynormalswisdomquest.com. Thank you for watching.